attendance like we did last time on Monday. So at the end, I will give you a new link with some new questions, and then that's how we'll track attendance. If you are here for the first time and you weren't here Monday, then you're going to get a quiz, the recording from Monday, as well as a quiz that you'll have to complete by next Wednesday, and in order to stay active and in order to keep going. So more information to come about that, but I just want to let you know how we'll be tracking attendance this go around. So my job is to tell you about money. So that's always exciting. But we have some really great, fresh, brand new, hot off the press information about some club funding, which will be on, which I'll go over after this slide. So I'm really excited to unveil that to you all. But first, let's talk about bank accounts. So no one on the leadership and engagement staff has a degree or any experience doing accounting, taxes. I barely know how to do my taxes. Like each year, thankfully, there is TurboTax to go through it with me. We are not experts in terms of bank accounts and like EIN numbers or anything. As much as we wish we could be more involved with setting up bank accounts with you all, that's just not in our purview. But we do have some information, in the club manual, which Salvador went over yesterday. The club manual, which we'll also be posting that new one as soon as it's finalized. And we have some banks that we know that a lot of people use that have been successful. So many of you all don't even need a bank account because you don't do anything with money, and that is totally fine. But for some, they utilize club funds for a variety of things. So whether that's for food or to buy supplies or room reservations, etc. So there's basically setting up a bank account would be up to you to identify a bank that you want to utilize. I know that many clubs have had great success with 1AZ, with Wells Fargo, with Chase. Those are the top three I've heard of that often from clubs who have had great experiences. So totally up to you in terms of where you would want to go to set up a bank account. Some clubs set it up as a club bank account. Some of them just utilize a personal bank account. We recommend utilizing a club bank account so that way, you know, if Ian is paying a club due, he knows it's going into the dues that he pays to be part of the club is going into a club bank account opposed to Marissa's personal bank account kind of thing. So it just feels cleaner and feels better to know where our money's going and knowing that it's for the club, not for personal use. Sometimes those club accounts, when you go to get them set up, they're going to ask you for a tax ID or an EIN number. So EIN being an employee identification number. There's a link in the club manual, but you can also just Google it. That is a form you fill out with the IRS to get that number. So we don't have a number for you, and AU doesn't have a number for you. You get that set up by being set up as an organization with the government. Sounds so scary, but anyway, but I know many of y'all have done it. We don't keep track of those numbers. So we don't have, so some of y'all may have that number, and have reached out in the past saying, what's our EIN? We don't know. We don't, again, because we don't have the ability to be involved in this process. We don't keep track of those numbers. So just some things to keep in mind. As much as, again, we want to support you all, this is just one area where it's completely handled off campus and has no ties to the university and university staff. Knowing that, we can't emphasize enough how important it is to properly be transitioning your club officers from year to year. I hope in my hopeful world that there aren't like 500 bank accounts sitting out there that just were never transitioned to the next officers, and then there's just money sitting out there. I would hope that that our clubs are transitioning you know, from president to president or treasurer to treasurer to be sure that those club funds are properly used and that they are transitioned to the next group of officers so they can utilize the funds and manage that bank account. We also recommend keeping your advisor involved. Some advisors choose to be a co-signer, if you will, for the club bank account. So that way because usually the advisor is an employee at NAU longer than you all are students at NAU, so they can kind of keep things going. So we recommend that if the advisor is comfortable doing so. But let's talk about something we do and are very involved in, which is club funding. So how come it's not going to the next one? There we go. Okay, funding. There are so many ways to get money as a club on campus. So I'm going to go through each of these, and some of these may connect with what you've got going on, some of them may not. But you all have access to all of these funds to support your student organization. So the first one, ASNAU reimbursements. You've probably all heard about this. So ASNAU, our undergraduate student government, supports student organizations, undergraduate student organizations, by reimbursing them for a variety of things. So clubs have access to up to $2,000 per year for their student organization. Some of the things that we've seen clubs seek reimbursement for include marketing items such as like club stickers. So that's totally doable. Paying for Sodexo foods for an on-campus event, paying for room reservations, travel. So if your club is going to go travel for a tournament or go to a conference, they will reimburse for that. Really, the sky's the limit as long as we're allowed to purchase those things. So some things we're not allowed to reimburse for are what we call tangible goods. And what that means is we can't purchase, let's say, a table for your club, because technically those are ASNAU dollars. So ASNAU would own that table. The club wouldn't own that table. So and ASNAU we don't have the room to store all of these like random items. So but we can purchase decorations for an event, or like I said, if when in doubt, you can always reach out to ASNAU and be like, would you reimburse for this? And they're happy to consult with you about that. Please note, though, that each year we have a new Senate, and the Senate of ASNAU decides and says yay or nay to those reimbursements. So something you may have been reimbursed for 3 years ago as a yes, maybe a no now, because we have new rules that we have to follow through what's called the comptroller office. They're the ones who decide what policies we have to follow to provide reimbursements. So I would just recommend being in touch with ASNAU when you are seeking out reimbursements. STAC. And the key difference between ASNAU and STAC is ASNAU will also reimburse for things that are internal to your club. So a pizza party or something that's just for your club. STAC, however, is different. STAC is all about funding things that are for the broader campus community. So STAC stands for Student Activities Council. They are funding events where the general student population has access to go attend that event. So whereas ASNAU's reimbursement would be for like a small pizza party for the karaoke club, STAC, it would, in order to get STAC, if the karaoke club wanted STAC funding for that pizza party, that pizza needs to be offered and that event needs to be offered to all of NAU. Doesn't mean all of NAU needs to come, but it still needs to be available to them. So STAC has funded events such as the Hapa Hawaiian Luau in the past, the Student Leadership Conference, Black Renaissance, and many, many other events hosted by our clubs. That funding is up to $10,000. So you can see the breadth of access to funds that you all would have. Jax Funder, I know many of you have been participating in this and had great success with it. Jax Funder is crowdfunding, so very similar to GoFundMe, but you've got NAU's backing with it. So it's better than oh, we're getting some thunder up here. It's better than GoFundMe because you've got NAU's resources backing you up to seek out funds from donors. So Jax Funder is a crowdfunding tool where, let's say you're the baseball team who wants to travel in December to this huge tournament. You can set up this crowdfunding storefront to then go get supported by donors to make that happen. So Jax Funder is really cool tool and another funding opportunity. I know many of you know about Sodexo programming funds. So each club, wow, if you're in Flagstaff right now, please be careful. It is very much so thundering over us right now. Okay, Sodexo programming funds. So every club has up to $500 in an academic year or $250 per semester. All you have to do is submit a quick form, and then you basically get covered to where Sodexo provides up to that amount for something for your club. So again, going back to that pizza party idea. So Sodexo programming funds. That is one where that is underutilized. So as many of you who use that, they have a lot more funds available. So if you're not accessing those Sodexo programming funds, I really encourage you to do so, because they have way more funds to support you all and support clubs than are being accessed right now. So Sodexo programming funds. Now, this is one of those, like, newsflash, this just happened like yesterday. So we're really excited, and more is to come in terms of what this process looks like. But so myself and the Dean of Students co-advise ASNAU, and something we've been working on over the summer is we know that room reservations are a barrier for room reservation costs are a barrier for some of our student organizations, because remember, we talked about on Monday, you get up to 4 hours but of free space, but then what else? And many of you are planning so much more or big events to where you need support, to where those costs for those room reservations is too much. And so we've been working with ASNAU and STAC to help cover those. So we're formulating what that looks like, that process, but basically I'll post this in Teams as soon as we have the process finalized, but we are good to go to where ASNAU and STAC are going to, up to a certain amount, are going to cover room reservations for our student organizations this year. So can I get like a heck yeah, that is awesome, because that's so exciting. You all clubs contribute, it's like almost $100,000 just in room costs on campus. So this is really, really huge. Okay, NAU Foundation. So we have a student organization foundation account, and the foundation is an off-campus bank account that we manage, that where donors give funds to you all. So some of you, not all of you, but some of you have donations that come in to the foundation, and then you can work with us to access those. For instance, we did a what was it? Actually, it was the Hapa Hawaiian Club had a donation come in, and they worked with us to pull that money out and utilize it to cover a cost for their luau this past year. So the foundation, that is donor funded, and we're happy to work with you and notify you if you have funds that have come in from donors. Okay, 3 more. Lumberjacks Thrive. So our alumni at NAU, so former students, absolutely love getting connected to students and student orgs. So the alumni office has a fund where they will support an event of yours if alumni are included in it. So this could look like if you are the Blue Key Honor Society and you have an alum who used to be a member of Blue Key, and they're going to come to an event of yours and give a speech or something. The NAU Alumni Office will pretty much fund that event to make that happen, because you're forming a great connection with an alum of the university. So Lumberjacks Thrive is all about supporting those student and alumni connections and keeping alumni involved. So if you have things that you're planning this year where alumni could be involved, the Lumberjacks Thrive program can help fund that event to where and support that event in happening. Okay, 2 more. Concessions, another severely underutilized funding tool for clubs. This means there's money sitting there for you all to access. So concessions would mean your club going and working the concession stands at like a football game. And so I know we've posted that on the Teams channel over the summer, how to do that. There's a lot of money sitting there for you all to access to if you go do this. Like I'm talking $1,000 for like working a session, depending on how many people you can have come to work the concession stand. You'll be completely trained on how to do that. I've heard it's super fun. But yeah, that's another way for your club to earn some money is through working the concession stands. And again, it's quite a bit of money as well. And then finally, our other hot off the presses thing that we just found out about last night. The alumni office is hosting a career mixer on September 18th, and we'll post this on the Teams channel. All students are invited to come to this, again, to get connected with alumni, but they've shared that if clubs have, I believe it was 5. If 5 members, let me check my email. I believe if 5 members of the club attend the event, let me confirm, they're going to give $100 to that club. So yeah, or if a student organization that brings 5 or more members to the event will receive $100 for the event. So another great option for you all, and $100 can go far for some of your clubs. So those are the ways that you can get funded or have funding for your club. There's probably other ways. There's other fundraising tools that are out there. We have a whole fundraising guide, which we have on our Teams channel under resources. So I know some clubs who do what's it called, car washes, or they go to do percentage nights, that kind of thing. So really the sky's the limit in many ways, but we'll be sure that you all see that in the Teams channel so you know about other fundraising tools. All of these funding options, except for the room reservation support and the career mixer, because those just happened, are on the club resources page under club funding. Okay, feeling good? Salvador, was there anything in the chat that we should bring up as a whole group about funding?
Well, Hassan. No, I think I've been able to answer all of them, but I think
perfect.
Yeah, you should be good.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, so those are all the funding tools. Actually, I'll go ahead and show you, since we're a little bit ahead, where to find that tool. Hopefully it's posted in our Teams channel. If not, we will throw it in there like while we speak. But Teams. Okay, so here's our Teams channel, right, that all of you are a part of and loving. So we'll be sure that there is let's see. Looks like we need to post it. So I will get that posted into our Teams, the fundraising guide, during the next part of the presentation. Lizzie, did you have a question?
Hi, yeah, I do. I think I might have just gotten an answer in the chat, actually. Oh yeah, so our organization wants to get involved with concessions, and the contract says our organization needs insurance, but actually I checked with everyone at Sodexo and no one knows how that works for student organizations. So I was wondering if you knew if we had insurance.
You don't. So I would just contact the person who is on that concession stand, and I'll put the flyer in the chat right now for everybody. I would check in with them because they're the ones who, and they're an NAU entity. I hope you can hear me. It is like pouring rain right now. Okay. So I would check in with them since they manage all of that. Okay, concessions flyer I'm putting in the chat right now for everybody to access.
Thank you. I'll check again with them. Oh, sorry. I'll check again with them, but actually they were the ones who didn't know. So that's why I was wondering, but I'll let them know and see if we can figure something out. Thank you.
Okay. And my second contact would be with the union's office, because they work with them, so we can connect with Sodexo and the union's office to get that rectified.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, great question. So I just put the flyer in the chat about the concessions piece. And again, with the room reservations news, just note we'll post that in Teams once we have the official process. It's like chaos. We've got thunder, it is raining, my dog's playing with the toy, everything's happening right now. But anyway, yeah, so we'll get that posted in Teams as soon as we finalize what that process looks like. Awesome. And then I will go ahead and get the fundraising guide in Teams, and I'll kick it over to Marissa.
Hey everybody, I hope you can hear me okay. It is hailing immensely at my house right now. So we're gonna shift the conversation a little bit. I'm gonna share my screen right now. All right, I hope everyone can see that okay. This conversation is something not meant to scare anyone. It's going to be a little more of a serious topic, and unfortunately, is something we have to talk about. It's something we don't take lightly here at NAU, and it's something that, as much as we say it doesn't happen, it can happen, and it can happen in any of our clubs and orgs. It can happen with athletics. It can happen with fraternities and sororities. It can happen anywhere that you're involved. So we want to make sure that this semester, as leaders of your organizations, hazing prevention is something you've talked about, something you've looked at, and something you're having conversations with your members. So everybody is feeling safe and strong and comfortable, and you're able to have an inclusive, wonderful semester as an organization here on NAU campus. So with that being said, a recent study was done with college students across the country, and of those surveyed, 69% shared that they were aware that hazing was either happening in their own organization or in an organization that their friends or close family members were a part of. So we want to make sure you all know the signs and you know how to eliminate any of those concerns as the semester starts. So what is hazing? A lot of times when we think of hazing, we think of what we see on the news. And if it's something that you've seen on the news, more than likely it's involving alcohol or excessive drinking or something excessive with a sporting event like calisthenics. So just want to run through a couple things with hazing. The biggest thing is that hazing can be one person alone, or it can be acting with others. It can be directed against a student for the purpose of pledging, being initiated into, affiliating with, holding an office, or maintaining membership in any organization. The biggest thing with hazing is that this can happen with or without the consent of the participants, and I think that's something we all need to remember. And hazing doesn't have to be something physical. It can be a mental piece, it can be academic concerns, and it can be general safety and psychological well-being, as well as emotional well-being as well too. This last year in the state of Arizona, our government actually passed a law. We were one of 5 states in the entire country that did not have any kind of hazing regulations for the entire state. Now we have a hazing policy for the entire state, and it actually makes hazing illegal and in some cases felony. This new law that was enacted and went into place last fall is called Jack's Law. Jack was a member of a fraternity at ASU over about 15 years ago, and he was involved in an incident that ultimately led to his death. His parents have worked tirelessly with state legislation over the last few years to get this law enacted. So now, because of that, all of our in-state colleges have this initial law that they also would take enact, as well as any type of conduct case that could happen with the university should a hazing investigation take place. So this is something I highly encourage you to share with your members. If you type in Jack's Law and you look up in Google, you can see it very easily. I will also throw it in the chat just so everybody has a copy if you want to take a look at it. Very important information, because should you ever be involved in something that an investigation takes place, it could result in a felony. And that is something that you need to know could be on your record moving forward for the rest of your life. Couple examples when it comes to hazing that immediately come to mind. Paddling in any kind of form, or some type of physical object that you're hitting a member of an organization. physical or psychological shocks, late night work sessions that interfere with scholastic activities. If you're having your members do events into the wee hours of the morning, or having to commit lots of hours in the library, even, there's a difference between study hours and there's a difference between forcing them to do certain things for long consecutive periods of time. Advocating or promoting alcohol or substance use and or abuse. If you all are involving activities with your student orgs that are focused around alcohol or drug use, that needs to be a bigger conversation. Does that align with the values of your organization? Is that something from a social aspect versus a membership aspect? Should you be involving in those activities? Test of endurance. If you are asking your members to go to the NAU Dome and run calisthenics and go through those steps up and down, that could easily be addressed as a form of hazing. And then, of course, involving your members in something potentially dangerous or foreseeably dangerous that could result in personal injury. And then anything that is causing mental distress or embarrassment. I think a lot of times we have events that we do, we have ways that we involve our members into joining our organization that have been a history, they've been a tradition. We don't think twice about it, but that's something we need to remember, that everybody has a different comfort level and a level of trust that they feel they do not want to cross. And so that's something we need to look at as a group, as NAU students and as lumberjacks. What we're doing every year with our organizations, is it something that we should continue to be doing as a club? Is it history? Is it tradition? Or could it be borderline hazing? Couple things that are really important to remember. If an event that you all are doing or a meeting that you've done involves a physical aspect, like I said, doing calisthenics in the gym, you've got push-ups that all your members have to do to fundraise money. Maybe not everybody's comfortable doing push-ups, even though it's for a philanthropy, it's going back to a nonprofit. Could that be deemed as hazing? Could it be harming some of your members that just are not comfortable with that physical aspect? Especially anything that deals with something physical, such as whipping, beating, striking, branding, electrical shock. I know these things sound crazy, guys, but these things have happened with organizations across the country on college campuses. So really evaluating what that physical piece looks like in all of your activities that you're doing. And then, of course, if the act is involving consumption of food, sometimes we see our groups are doing food eating competitions. Everybody loves a good hot wing, but is it something that you should be eating the hot wing with the spicy habanero sauce on it, and you have to eat it the fastest and then drink a gallon of milk, and whoever wins that wins the award for the best member? Anything that could be in violation of the city, university, state, and federal code for the consumption of alcohol or other drugs as well is something to always remember. You should be able to have an event that has no piece involving alcohol or any type of other drug, and any of those food aspects, even if it's a fundraiser, something to reevaluate and important to know and be aware of. And then this is one that I think we always tend to forget. If your event has a mental or emotional activity, it could be intimidating. It could be threatening. Why you think it might be something so easy and nothing extreme to it, you may have members that are concerned from that mental stress and they don't want to interact with that. Even something as much as making members repeat things in front of others to remember the values of your organization, or repeat something from the bylaws that you have for your organization. That repetitive piece in front of someone could be very uncomfortable and could be a borderline hazing. So when you're planning your events, I highly encourage you all to ask yourself as leaders of your organizations, And for your other executive members that maybe are not on this call today, if you have someone who does all your events for the year, they plan your meetings, your gatherings, make sure that they are asking, would you feel comfortable participating in this event if your parents were watching or your grandparents were watching? Would you get in trouble if a college administrator or someone from our leadership and engagement team walked into the Doob and saw you performing an act on stage that could be borderline hazing? Is this activity being kept secret? We fully understand that some of your organizations have pieces that are very sacred to your organizations. There are things that your constitutions may involve or maybe were founded on. And we understand that there is that piece to it, but you have to know that if somebody walked in and they saw it, would it be borderline hazing? Of course, is it anything illegal? Is it something that could result in you all getting federal charges due to Jack's Law that is now our state law in Arizona? Does your participation in this activity violate the values of your organization, how you all were founded, why you all chose to join this organization, why you all chose to be a leader in this organization? And then of course, would you be able to get a job if a criminal arrest happened and you had to put that on your application? If you all are involved in an activity that could result in you criminally getting charged, is it something that your group should still be doing every year as a ritual, as an event, as a history, something that you all value? With anything you do all semester long, from weekly meetings to fundraisers, to things in the community, to donating time, volunteering, you need to remember that consent is not always a defense for someone. You may tell your members that everybody needs to show up at 5 a.m. because you're going to hike up Snowball and go to the top. Maybe not everybody is in that physical condition to be able to hike, but everybody in the group is going to tell you, yes, we want to go hiking. They may not feel comfortable, and there's that intimidation factor. So really making sure that anything you're doing is also voluntary. Sometimes we have groups that will shave their heads voluntarily and donate money for cancer research, or to a cause or to a nonprofit. Why it is such a great thing, and the money is going to such a wonderful thing. Maybe not everybody is comfortable with shaving their heads. So really making sure that you are doing everything in a voluntary manner, and you're even following up with forms so people are able to know that they are consenting, but know that consenting is not a defense. I might tell Salvador that I'm going to do 100 jumping jacks for him for fundraising money. And I might tell him yes, but that wouldn't hold up if an hour later I'm sent to the hospital and then I go tell Michelle that Salvador hazed me and he made me do 100 jump ups, 100 jumping jacks, and I am having issues and had to be sent to the hospital. So please always remember that. Just because somebody says yes, sure, and okay, doesn't mean that it could hold up, and doesn't mean they're consenting to doing those activities. So to kind of turn the tables, instead of focusing on these activities that could get you all in trouble, could be borderline hazing, maybe you're not promoting the best use of values of your organization, take a look with your leaders this semester and members of your group and seeing what events you could do that are promoting a sense of belonging for your organization. Have a movie night, rent out Harkins, go to Proc Now. We have amazing events on campus that I don't think we take full advantage of, from concerts to plays, other events that other organizations are doing. With all of our clubs and orgs here we have on campus, there is constantly an event happening on an evening. So utilize True Blue, utilize the university calendar, see what events you all could go to as a group, and being able to foster that unity. If you want to do some type of activity that creates a safe situation, but could be challenging, like a team building activity, we have wonderful opportunities on campus and off campus, from Flag Extreme, Flag Tag. There are different activities you could do, that you could do a challenge course, an obstacle course, things that would allow your members to really have that team unity and that bonding together, but still feel safe. And then promoting scholarship. Of course, we highly encourage that you are involved with academics with your members and encouraging them to go to the library, rent out a study lounge together, promote studying, work together to prep for a test, but make it fun. Encourage your members to bring some food, come together as a group and have a study hour that everybody's in the library, having pizza, eating, working on their assignments for the week, things that can help them engage and have a lot of fun and still feel safe. But if it ever comes to a time that you are involved in an incident, you've witnessed something, you've questioned it, when in doubt, please report it. Please reach out to us. And even if you're planning your events and you have questions, if something is a tradition, could it be borderline hazing? Please reach out to any of our members of our leadership and engagement team, and we'd love to talk through with you what that event looks like, what that planning piece could be. But we do have options to report it, and we do want you to report it to make sure that all of our members are safe and it doesn't happen again. So the nau.edu/report it link is going to be your direct line of communication that goes to our rights and responsibilities office. Even if it's an anonymous report, if you feel you've witnessed something, please go in and report that information so our contact team for the university can look more into it, reach out, get the details, and see if they need to open an investigation. We also have the police department, the Dean of Students main line, some emails that you can reach out to and ask questions. And then, like I said, of course, contacting any member of our team or the Dean of Students and our rights and responsibilities staff are always here to help you. We want you all to have a fun and safe semester, and we want you to have great events, being involved in fundraising, being involved in community, the university, but we want ultimately everyone to be safe and smart in the activities that they are doing. So with that, I know we ended a little bit early. If anybody has questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. Salvador, do we want to take a break moving forward?
Yes, but maybe we could use maybe 5 minutes of this time to see if anybody has any questions of ours in general. Doesn't really have to relate to hazing, but any questions that might be applicable to every single club, whether it's hazing, whether it's funding. If not, we could just take a break early. All right, we're gonna be nice with all of you. And let's take a break and just come back by 11:05. Cool? Perfect. Have a nice break. specific areas, and we're gonna get started with diversity. So before I begin with explaining our understanding about diversity, I want to you all provide me your own definition. So I posted a question in the chat. I want you to reply of what is diversity to you? What is the actual definition of diversity to your understanding? So go ahead and answer that in the chat. Take your time. And you could write a whole sentence, a one word response in the chat. But what is diversity to you? Thank you, Skylar, for being the first one, including all different types of people based on race, ethnicity, gender, etc. People, a difference, unbiased inclusion, a variety, inclusion of everyone, different mindsets. Okay. Diversity is celebrating others' differences. I love that. People of all different races, ethnicities, genders. Diversity is, to me, is inclusion in all regards. That does not discriminate for any reason. I love these definitions. I love this. I love that you all came up with a whole sentence, which I love. No shame to those people that came up with one word, because I did ask you all for one word too. So yes, all of you have the main concept or slash idea of what really diversity stands for or means. So just very quickly, as we discuss diversity, we're really talking about the demographics of a club in this case scenario, right? What is your club composed of? And a lot of people think that diversity only mostly relates to just ethnicity and race. But that's actually just two variables of many that actually include diversity, right? That we could encompass this concept through sexual orientation. We could do age, we could do disability status, we could do different skills as well, different statuses such as military, some non-traditional students, so on and so forth. So we have all these specific demographics that create your specific club as unique as it is, right? A lot of your clubs already have those specific demographics, and you are doing amazing in promoting that, right? But something that we continue to challenge is just because you have diversity in your team, that does not mean you're succeeding in terms of DEI, right? It is the actual environment that you are harvesting inside your club that helps your specific club become successful and be diverse as a whole, right? There's different clubs that do have specific requirements when it comes to recruiting and who can be in a club, right? For example, but there's other clubs, for example, that do provide those opportunities when it comes to just having the same mindset and providing those inputs, even if they have different views or perspectives. An example that I could think of is maybe the Latin A student union, let's say, right, has a specific requirement of members who might want to join, right? But at the same time, maybe the a member who maybe is not Latin or Hispanic or nothing of that specific ethnicity or race relates to that specific club, but is willing to support and be an ally for that specific club. To diversify their team, maybe Latin A student union might want to have this member join to diversify their specific perspectives. So that's just one example of how we continue moving forward. Again, is how you foster these diversities, how do you implement them, and how do you market your specific organization to make sure that everybody is welcome to join in your specific community. So I also want to ask you a second question in terms of how do we implement diversity in your club? So as a club member, officer, chair, secretary, whatever you want are in your specific club, how do you implement diversity? How can you make diversity be an ultimate goal in your specific organization? And we're only talking about diversity for now. So go ahead and write that down. Is it inviting everyone to the meetings? Is it expanding our recruitment processes to all and everyone? Be welcoming, making sure clubs are accessible for everyone. Love these. Recruit throughout a wide variety of channels. That's right. Not just sticking with one specific sector or setting, but going out and about. Be welcoming to everyone who walks through the door. Love that. talk with other clubs and do events together. Oh, yes, collaboration. Love that. We also have to do that here with our department. Provide space for everyone to share needs, ideas, etc. Love these answers. As we know, diversity, including diversity within your club/organization and chapter, provides so many different perspectives, ideas, views, comments, and beliefs, right? So you're diversifying your specific club and having this specific community be welcoming to just sharing those out loud and being respected while doing so. I love these ideas. Love this. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you. And as we just provided a very quick understanding of what diversity really is. And obviously there's a text version / definition in the slide. So you're more than welcome to read it. We'll expand a little bit more on how this implies with the other equity and inclusion sectors. So I'll hand it over to Michelle.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, you all know this stuff. This is what's amazing. And this generation is so committed to, I have found so committed to this work, but also have so many great ideas. And I did want to highlight one that I saw, which was expanding where you go to recruit members, because oftentimes, sometimes, you know, we as people tend to get connected with those who are similar to us in all different ways. And so going out of that bubble to where you're maybe you always, this is like a really low level example, but maybe you always only recruit in the Du Bois Center. Try the Union. You might be exposed to different students who you've never met before because they never go down to the Du Bois Center. And I know it's a very like low hanging fruit example, but just thinking of how you can expand your bubble to where you're not just going to the same places and meeting the same people, but exploring new locations or new venues to meet people and invite them into your club. So I loved that answer too. Okay, equity. So the way I break down equity, I think of equity as access. So not just in overt ways, but covert ways with access. So what does that actually mean? So equity being who has access to be a club officer. And maybe at first you're like, well, everyone does. Everyone can apply to be an officer. Well, sometimes there's unwritten rules, if you will, where it can look like there's it can look like somebody does not have access to be an officer because perhaps that officer position has always been the people who are selected for that have always had the same identities for years and years. So let's say I identify with she, her pronouns. So if the president of the club that I'm in has always been male, every single time, I may not feel like I have access to that position because that's always who's selected. Now, obviously, so equity is those unwritten rules or unwritten procedures sometimes that get in the way of people feeling like they can be part of the organization, that they can be officers of the organization, that they have full access to share their opinions, their ideas about the organization, because it can feel like because of this identity, whatever marginalized identity it might be, it can feel like I'm not going to be as advantaged as others who might have more privileged identities. So when I think of equity, I just think of that access and how we can ensure that our practices and the things that we're saying and doing really invite all to the table, and like they all have equal seats at the table. And so not only do they have not only are there seats at the table for them, but everyone has the same or has equitable seating, if you will. So it's not like one person has a better seat than others just because of their identities. So that's what I think of with equity. And let's go into inclusion.
All right, so inclusion kind of ties all three of it together. And I feel like this is kind of an area that sometimes we miss and we don't think much about when we think about diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're always focusing on that diversity piece first. So when you're looking at inclusion, some couple of things to remember is that you're making sure everyone's voices matter and their impact and decisions are all being processed into what you all are doing. The organization's culture has to be enabled for this to happen, and inclusion promises a broader view of the world and a more dramatic process for decision making. When I think of inclusion, some of the things that instantly come to mind is making sure you're using inclusive language. Is your constitution for your organization equally representing everyone who is part of your organization? Is it representing your values of how you were founded? Even your social media, how you all are marketing yourselves, how you all are wording things in flyers to promote different events. Are you being inclusive? With that too, when tying into events, something with inclusion that I think is really important to remember, is it accessible for all? With inclusion, I think that piece we also tend to forget is making sure to have an inclusive event from even the space that you're using. If you are using a space that isn't wheelchair accessible, do you have someone who may need assistance with a cane or a wheelchair to get into it? If you're doing an event in Audrey Auditorium and you're afraid that people in the back may not hear, instead of contemplating about the microphone, or do you need to check it out with unions and activities when you're doing your rental agreement, just have that microphone there and make sure that you're successful with that. Even doing a Zoom call like this, you will have individuals potentially that could be hard of hearing. Do you have the caption option available that someone could click on and be able to see the wording on the screen to make your event more inclusive and make them to be able to follow along if they're having a hard time hearing? So with that, I want to challenge you all. When you think of inclusion, how do you all think you could incorporate inclusion in your organizations this year, in your events, and every day that you're doing? I'd love to see if anyone could put in the chat any examples of inclusion that they want to focus on as a student leader this year for their organizations. Updating traditions, that's wonderful. Thank you, Kate, for throwing that in there. Making everyone feel heard, new perspectives, language, hosting better events, more community outreach. I love that. Taking everyone's unique perspective and ideas, having a better reach out. Anonymous feedback, I love that. I think so much of what we do sometimes with our organizations is the daily grind, because you all are students first, you've got jobs as well too, and you're doing things because that's how it was done, that's how the former president before you did it. But really taking that time for that outreach, communicating with your members, hearing from them, getting feedback, how you can move forward in those activities, and making everyone feel safe and inclusive and having a wonderful, fun event. Member feedback form. Love it. These are some great ideas. You guys constantly amaze me and amaze our entire leadership and engagement team of the things that you come up with every day. So when you look at all three, now we're going to tie them together and show you a little bit more how they work with each other.
Well, and I love too that a lot of those ideas, we're thinking of them now. They're not an afterthought. DEI work is front and center. It's not a, should I use, like Marissa's examples were great in terms of, should I use that microphone? You're using it every time, regardless of who you know who's in the room, because we don't know who's in the room always. So these are front and center ideas that you all are sharing that are the way that you do it. So even utilizing your pronouns every single time you introduce yourself, not just when you think there's someone in the audience who may use pronouns that are not part of the binary. So utilizing them every single time provides that inclusive space. So the way these work together, we love this visual because it really shows why you need to have all three. And it really shows what happens when you only have two of the three, and how, as much as your efforts could be really good, if you only have two of the three, it can have a negative impact. And our goal, of course, is to get to that center. So you see that center piece where all three of these terms are coming together, and it creates belonging. So this creates safety and a space people want to be in, an organization where they feel like they can be their full selves, and feel like they are valued for who they are and what makes them who they are, their values, their beliefs, their identities. That is the ultimate goal. But what happens when we only have two? So I'll start with, actually, Salvador, do you mind starting with what happens if you only have the D and the E?
Yes, I can. All right. So obviously, if you have diversity and equity, that's outstanding. You have representation from different demographics, whether it's sex, gender, ethnicity, and you're providing the actual equity piece. So you're providing everybody with the actual tools to help them succeed, whether other people are requiring additional support, then you provide that versus other people who don't need that support. So you're covering all the aspects. So if you see in the middle when equity and diversity actually meet, the cultural assimilation results in disadvantage and low retention, meaning that if you don't include people, you might be diverse, but if you're not considering other people's ideas, thoughts, or perspectives, they're not going to feel valued. They're not going to feel respected by you all, because obviously they might have outstanding ideas and might want to make a comment about a specific event. They might just have hesitation about a specific project or anything related to your club. But if you're ignoring them or you're being dismissive in terms of not validating their opinions, that's when it comes to maybe people don't have that sense of belonging within your community, right? And your ultimate goal is to make sure that you create this nice, welcoming community for within your club, because it is a club. People that have similar interests, similar expectations moving forward. But again, if you're not including them in your specific decision making, or just in any type of process or decision, then that's when the actual trust might fade away, and the interest to be part of your club will also definitely be taken out of the equation, meaning that maybe your club is losing those specific members. Maybe your club no longer has those 5 members that you're required to have. They won't feel included at all whatsoever. So that's just one example if diversity and equity do combine, but you're missing the inclusion piece. You're muted.
Awesome. Thank you. So what happens when you only have the E and the I? So equity, again, being that who has the power, who has access to the power of your organization, and how are you recognizing who has the power, or who has the decision-making ability? And then inclusion being those thoughts and ideas and perspectives that all individuals matter. You have an inclusive space, a welcoming space where all are valued. But if you only have the E and the I, without the diversity, then we tend to have a homogenous culture. So that means homogenous identities, simplified points of view. We're not gaining people who, we don't have people's voices who are perhaps going to share just different points of view, things that we haven't considered, different life experiences, and just different identities that are where we have more of a heterogeneous culture, to where we're just gaining a broader perspective. So when I think of without the diversity, our perspective is very narrow, our lens is very narrow, because we're not bringing in like varied voices to share and expand our lens. So if you only have the E and the I, you're missing out on, and your organization is pretty homogenous, then you're missing out on all the great wealth and richness that comes from varied points of view and varied life experiences and identities. And Marissa, want to wrap us up?
Yes. So, if you tie all three of them together, you've got that equal belonging where voices are being heard. You're not having those dominant groups. You've not had that homogenous experience with the culture. And you're able to make sure that your organizations are focusing in all three areas, being inclusive, you're making sure everyone's voices are being equitable, and diversity is successfully being presented by tying all three of them together. And you have that change in culture and that shift in what it's looking at, to represent everybody equitable.
Awesome. Thank you, Marissa. And then I think we just missed with the D and the I with, so if you have an inclusive club with a diverse and inclusive club, but you lack equity. So again, the equity being that distribution of power, that means the dominant group, or oftentimes the privileged group, they are deferred to for change, for decision-making, for opportunities, etc. So, so without equity, without inviting more voices and perspectives and redistributing power amongst varied members, then no matter what, that dominant or that privileged group is always going to be the default. Okay, and again, like Marissa just shared, got to have all three in order to have belonging. So you all shared some awesome ideas in terms of what this could actually look like. What are some things your club can tangibly do? I strongly, that the chat was like amazing, but here are just some other ideas, and there may be some crossover. So ways to keep your org DEI focused, and I will re-say, this is up to every single club on campus to be DEI focused and to be committed and actively looking internally at how you can be more inclusive for all. So ensuring your marketing materials are accessible, and we have great resources on campus. If you're like, is this accessible? We have amazing resources on campus to look at your stuff and say yay or nay. And that could also include your social media. So do you have alt text or in your social media captions so that all people have access to understand and review your social media platform? Commit to utilizing inclusive language and identify ways to support each other when an exclusive phrase or word is said. Accommodate members who may have to miss events due to religious events. Ensure that all members feel like they have an equal voice at the table. That could be as simple as if Marissa's dominating the conversation, I could be like, thank you, Marissa. Salvador, what do you think? And then I just provided Salvador a space to share what he thinks without saying, Marissa, you're talking too much. Like, I'm not going to do that. That just will other Marissa, but we're bringing new voices to the table who maybe don't always feel like they can have that they have the opportunity to share. Attend an IMQ zone training together. There's so many wonderful free trainings on campus that you all have access to. And I love it when I hear clubs doing it all together because it's just shared experience. And then that means shared accountability. Provide alternatives to paying club dues. Sometimes $10 for a club due is not accessible for some of our students. I know many of you are working 1 or 2 jobs just to make it through school. So $10 makes an impact. So we want to be sure that our clubs, again, are accessible to everybody. And we don't want $10 to have to deny somebody from having access to your club. So what are some alternatives that you can provide to where somebody could still be a member of your organization if you decide to have dues as part of being a member of your club? Utilizing and sharing your pronouns. And again, that is in every introduction, every time. And then again, noticing the makeup of your officer board. What identities are present, which aren't? How can we, again, seek out ways to broaden our membership and broaden our lens and broaden our perspectives? We have what else? I feel like you all have added so many great examples in the chat as well. Something I do just want to add is DEI work. Everybody is going to get it wrong sometimes. So we all mess up sometimes, and that is okay. we are here as the leadership and engagement office to help you all, and to whether that's consulting with you, or how do I handle this? Last year we received a number of calls around DEI work around what do we do because something happened maybe in a club meeting or with your exec board, and we are completely here to help navigate that with you, provide resources, as well as strategize how to move forward. So if somebody says an exclusive phrase and in front of everybody, and it can be damaging sometimes for various people in the organization, we're here to consult with if you're like, how do I handle this? So please feel free to reach out. But I really encourage you all also as officers to examine your practices, examine your constitution, examine how you operate, and see if there's room for change, see if there's room to make things a little or more DEI focused. Marissa or Salvador, would you add anything? Okay. Perfect. Well, then we will go ahead into our next topic. Which is back to Marissa.
Give me 1 second. So now we're going to transition into another conversation that can kind of be hard to have. Somehow I got the most challenging topics to talk about with you all during this training. So I apologize, they're not fun conversations, but they're things that do come up, and they are things that we do want to make sure that you all are as prepared as possible to be a part of. So as a student leader on our campus, you all might be tasked at times that you are being given information about a friend, a colleague in a class, someone in a dorm, or someone in your organization that is going through some challenging times, may have been involved in an incident that is a violation of the code of conduct, maybe missing some classes for some things, and they need some additional assistance. And the question we tend to get quite a bit is, how do I help them as a student leader? So one thing that we want you all to be prepared for, and we will continue to provide resources this semester. Our hope is by our next president's meeting, we'll have a detailed guide for you all that you can have on hand and save on your computers. So please know that that is coming. But for now, I want to kind of break down this page of reporting it. When an incident arises and you get this conversation, you kind of have to decide whether you want to share it. Should I share it? What happens if I share it? I don't want to get a member in trouble. I don't want to get a friend in trouble. I don't want to get a classmate in trouble. Know that it's not that you're getting in trouble for anyone, but you're helping them through a time that could be challenging, and you're helping them get the resources they need on campus. There are so many things that are available to you as students on our campus that I think sometimes we don't advertise widely, or they can be buried deep on our NAU website and you don't know how to utilize those resources. So this is our homepage for our report it information. This is a screenshot, and in a second I'm going to take you out and actually show you the page. But on this page, you can go to this and you can report different information, and it goes to different areas based on the information that you are actually reporting. So for instance, if you have a member of your organization that's missing a lot of classes, maybe they had an illness and they need additional assistance, you could report a care referral, and you could help them get assistance from our care team to work with their professors to get back on track if they're failing behind in grades. And knowing that this is an opportunity is something that all of you should be able to share widely with your members. In 1 second, I'm gonna take you out to the actual site. Let me share my screen. All right, so this is the Report It website. It's nau.edu/report it. Very easy to remember. I highly encourage you to bookmark this site. As you go through here, there'll be different options that you have accessible. There's the code of conduct report form. There's the care referral. If you have a member or a concern about sexual assaults or sexual misconduct, you can go to this link and you can refer back to it. And when you click on it, it actually takes you to a form that you can put in information, you can put in how you know them, dates, times, concerns. And so as much information as you have, know that it's something that will be more useful in helping support your members or friends that you're reporting this information to. Also know with this, it's very important that you give as much detailed information so that our teams can help seek out that student and get them exactly what they need to be successful. Take you back to this. So please know that this is something we encourage you to use. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to any of our team and we'll be able to assist you on that at any point in time. And they'll be able to walk you through the process as reporting goes. And with that, sorry guys, my Wi-Fi keeps cutting out.
No worries. Oh, I think her Wi-Fi just went down. No worries. Let me just pull this up real fast and I'll help her out. There we go. Okay. So Marissa just talked about reporting things, and then so it's really easy, nau.edu/report it. I always say when in doubt, fill it out. It cannot hurt to fill out these forms and provide care to those under your student organization and really anyone, not just for your student org, but when in doubt, fill it out, and it really just initiates resources and support for yourself and for those around you. It's very possible that especially as student org leaders, that you might hear something, people come to you, you are in no ways expected to be an expert on these topics, in no way at all. But people come to you because you're their peer, they're comfortable with you, and so they may share things with you. And we just find it really critical to where you feel supported, to hear those things, but also initiate, again, those campus resources to where we can provide support and help to those in need. You also have your advisor. So anything that's shared with you too, you can utilize and get support from your advisor as well. When we hear about incidences or things that are happening with the members of our club, I really urge you to communicate with your advisor, and they've received this training as well, to where they can initiate resources and support. Finally, so a little bit about risk. So all of you are hosting events, you're leading your organization, which again, as you can tell just from Monday and today, there's a lot to leading a club. And with that, there's often risk. And so we wanted to give a little ditty, if you will, about how to manage risk in your organization, how to be thoughtful about risk. And when we say risk, we're just talking about keeping everybody safe, keeping it to where you are not damaging things on campus or off campus, keeping things to where things are just smooth, if you will. So this could be whether you're traveling as an organization, how are you being thoughtful about who's driving and how fast they're driving, to maybe maybe you're a sport club and you play sports. There's obviously risk with physical risks that are involved with that. maybe you're hosting a carnival game, and just again, it's all about being proactive and thinking through what things you have going on in your organization, what activities, and how we can be proactive instead of reactive to navigating those risks, and to where everybody's safe and we're not having liability issues, I guess you could say. So there's 5 types of risks that we'll go over briefly. So physical risks involve just what you can imagine, physical harm. So this might be if you are going hiking up Humphreys. That's a pretty significant hike. There's some physical risks there, right? Somebody can trip, somebody can not feel well because it's pretty strenuous. So what are you doing before that hike to prepare people and help them to where you're to where you can reduce the amount of risk that comes with such a hike? Maybe telling them this is a super strenuous hike. If you do not feel capable of basically hiking uphill for like a constant amount of time for many hours, maybe you provide a more reduced strenuous hike alternative that people can go to. So maybe it's do Humphreys or go to Buffalo Park kind of thing. Physical, and then also maybe you're telling people bring water, bring snacks, wear sunscreen, all of those types of things before you head out. So being proactive with those physical risks. Reputational risks are include things like, how is this club? Did you do something that may now be attributed to your club to where now you have a pretty bad reputation, whether that's on campus or in the community? So let's say the Lettuce Club, because they're not active anymore. Yes, we did used to have a Lettuce Club. Let's say the Lettuce Club went and had a lettuce food fight downtown. Not only is that, and then they didn't pick up any of the lettuce. Not only does that create, not only is that wasteful of food, but also now they've made a mess of a area downtown. And so now people in the community or anybody who's hanging out downtown could be very upset and attribute just that negative image of the Lettuce Club, NAU, and really students, NAU students in general, because they just make mess and waste food downtown. So reputational risks are you're creating a bad image of yourself, basically. Emotional risks are how are you feeling? How can people potentially feel left out of the organization or feel emotionally hurt or damaged because of club activities. So let's say you're planning a swimming party or a swimming event. Not everyone wants to be in a bathing suit in front of their peers. And so that can create some emotional risk, body image issues, all the things potentially. So thinking proactively, maybe there's swimming, but there's also other activities happening that people can opt into to where they don't feel othered, where they still feel included, where they don't have to say, and like, because it can be embarrassing sometimes to be like, I'm not comfortable being in a bathing suit. So maybe there's just automatically other activities like yard games or other things that people can dive into instead of having to be in a bathing suit. Financial risks are you did something and now there's a cost. So those are the financial costs. And I'll pair this with facilities. So facilities is damage to a building, whether that's in the community or on campus. If there's damage involved, so that's the facility risk. There's probably a financial risk there too, because you're probably going to have to be charged. You're probably going to have to pay a bill because something happened. So if your club is in the College of Ed in one of the classrooms and things get rowdy and people like break a chair or break a desk or potentially just mess up the space, not only that's a facility risk, you're probably going to get charged for it. It's also a reputational risk because now the College of Ed is going to be mad at your club and possibly not let you be in that space anymore. So you can see how these all get tied together and are important to think about before your events and your activities get going. We are here to help with this. So you'll notice that when you submit events in TrueBlue Connects, we're going to ask you about this, or we're going to help you think through this. So if you submit that hike, we're commenting and saying, what's your plan for water, food, sunscreen, that kind of stuff. So that way you're thinking, and this is all really, really good skills to have as you navigate college, but also as you graduate, to being proactive planners. So that way, again, everyone has access to your event, feels safe, and that it's a successful, fun event for everybody. Okay. Perfect. We are going to go ahead and transition to just briefly talking about your advisors. So as we've talked about, every club has a full-time faculty staff advisor attributed to them. So and that all is posted in TrueBlue Connects. It's somebody that we really want you all to be working with collaboratively. They are your direct support. In addition to us, they are more boots on the ground, if you will, support for you. Now, I know that we have some advisors who are super involved. They go to every meeting, every activity. You know who they are. They love being a part of your club. And then we have all the way on the other end, we have those who are like, I don't know who my advisor is. Well, we really want to work with y'all and encourage y'all to connect with your advisor within the first 2 or 3 weeks of school. These are people who can be your write letters of recommendation for you. For any of our graduating seniors, you'll be required to have a letter of recommendation from somebody for your goal if you're going to apply for the Gold Axe Award, so that your club advisor is a great person to do that. These are people who can help support your club, get you resources, answer questions for you, help you navigate the university systems that exist. They're really meant to be active advisors. So if you don't know who your advisor is, it is in your TrueBlue Connects profile. And I really encourage you to find out or to go see that person and reach out to them. If you have a change in advisor, that is okay. Just notify us so we can make sure our records are up to date and that they are getting trained to be supportive for you. And if you just have any needs for or trouble finding an advisor too, we're here to help bridge that gap as well. So again, we really encourage you to meet with them regularly. They're really a go-to for your support, to where you don't feel alone leading your club as well, but also a go-to for interpersonal issues that happen within your organization. They can help navigate you and to report things like we talked about earlier. But they're also there to help celebrate your successes, to attend things, and for you to just talk with about what you want from an advisor. What they are not doing or should not be doing is running your club. We are very proud to always be able to say our student orgs are student run and student led. So that's all of you leading your club. So they would not be the ones updating your roster, submitting events in TrueBlue Connects. That's your job. So if we see an advisor submitting something, we're going to deny it, because our student clubs are student run, student led. So, so yeah, we also have a great guide. I will share real fast in our teams. And we shared this with the club advisors yesterday. So in this advisors section, so this is our team, right? So in the advisors section under files, there's this club advisor guide. This is something we made, and we really encourage you to go over this with your club advisor, so that way you both have an understanding of what their role is and what their role is not. So we made basically a manual for them that talks about various resources that they are charged with completing, what qualifications there are to being a club advisor. And then I think this is a big one, the expectations that we as an office have for them. And this, I think, would be really powerful for the two of you to go through and to where you're on the same page that, hey, like my club advisor is supposed to be accessible to me. They're supposed to be supportive of me. And so if you haven't heard from them all semester, we want to know about it, because that's not the greatest fit. Maybe we can help you find a different advisor, because we want to make sure that they're actively working with you. And then we have a list of what we think all advisors should be doing and how you both work together. So everything from providing guidance on your to you all on how to better manage your time. So kind of that personal support, as well as organizational support, and aiding with conflict that doesn't align with their constitution's mission vision value. So they're really that perspective and just additional support for you all. Finally, the guide, we just share our contact information and where we're at. So it's a great guide. It's only a couple pages long. So I really encourage y'all to connect with your club advisor and review that. Okay. We are back. So again, if your club advisor changes, sometimes they retire, sometimes they just can't advise anymore, or they leave the university, then we need to find you a new advisor. So oftentimes we'll connect with you if we hear of that, or if you just let us know, like, hey, this person's now my advisor, we can make that change in TrueBlue Connects. Actually, let me show you really fast where to find who your club advisor is in TrueBlue. So I'm going to go to our friendly link, nau.edu/clubs, right? So if you're unsure who your club advisor is, here's how you find it. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to sign in. Some of you have your club advisor listed on your roster, which is great. You do not have to have that, but I think it's helpful. But I'll show you the other location to find them. So again, here's all my organizations on that left panel. So I'm going to go to ASNAU, because that's the one that that I'm listed as an advisor for. And then I'm going to go to About. So all of you would have access to this and can update this, or just make sure that it's got all the accurate information about who your club advisor is. So I'm going to scroll all the way down, and right there on the About page is listed the club advisor, including their email address, and so you can reach out to them as soon as you or at your earliest convenience. Again, if that changes, I'm going to update it here, and then I'm going to also notify us, because the other thing is we need to know in order to update and add them to our Teams channel. Okay. Oops. All right. Our last piece is we have received a lot of questions from y'all yesterday, a lot of great questions. So we're going to kind of go over a few of those, some of the themes that came out from those questions, and then we will wrap up. Okay. And I'm going to tag Salvador on some of these. So we'll tag team, or I'll be like, Salvador, go. Okay. So this wasn't a question, but I want to share with you all. We ordered some, if you haven't seen it already on Teams, we ordered some awesome t-shirts for you all. So they are Get Involved shirts. They say Get Involved on them. My dream is that we can all wear them together and have a huge group picture, but we'll get there one day. But they're really fun. They're in our office. And which is in room 104, so the Dean of Students area in the Union. If you're in Flagstaff already, come on by 8 to 5. We're open Monday through Friday. Come on by and grab one. These shirts are for you. We want you to wear them. We want you to sport them and really spread that message of involvement. We may have shared this earlier, but our number one goal as an office is to get every student involved in your clubs, every single one. So that's 27,000 students. We're at about 8,000. We've got a ways to go, but we've made some progress, right? We've done a really good job with everybody. So t-shirts though are available for you all to rock and wear, so that we're spreading the love about involvement. So come on by anytime. All your officers are invited to come get a shirt too. We want them gone. So come on by anytime. We also have Welcome Week shirts in the leadership game. If you're or whatever, come by. we're basically giving you your wardrobe for the first weeks of school, and, but you can wear them anytime. But we also have welcome week t-shirts for you all to wear if you're interested. So room 104 of the Union. Salvador, one of our questions was where do we meet for our monthly meetings?
That was a great question. Our monthly meetings are gonna be virtual, so aka Zoom. I'll provide you all with the link, which is most likely gonna be the same one as today's. But I'll post the updated link or the same link via Teams, but they're gonna be remote / Zoom.
Awesome. Another question we got was about the storage spaces. So right after this, I'm going to post in the application for storage spaces, and 10 point, like, you can give yourself like a mental high five if you remember what website that would be posted on, right? It would be our club resources page. So www.nau.edu/club resources, because that's where kind of most all things are. So I'm gonna post it on there in about 30 minutes for storage space. One of the questions was, how big are they? So they're pretty standard size lockers. So it's locker and locker. So I don't have measurements, but yeah, you're not going to be fitting, your whole wardrobe in there or anything, but definitely has ample space. There's also, we have bins like this, like standard size large bins. If the locker is not needed, we have bins that you can also store items in. And whatever fits. If you can't store everything, that's okay. But storage spaces will go live in about 30 minutes. Okay, accessing teams. So Salvador, I'll let you do this. How do I act if I'm not a part of the team, or I need to get another officer of access to the teams? What do I do?
Great question. Sorry, I want to backtrack and tell you a little bit more about the monthly meetings. They're going to be via Zoom, but you're still required to have 2 members, aka officers, in those monthly meetings, no exception. If for some reason an officer has class and you're the only officer that could go, then it is your responsibility to find a club member that you trust for them to attend with you. Just keep that in mind. For teams, you only, and I'm going to repeat this, you only should have access to teams if your specific club completed our SOAR requirement, which stands for our Student Organization Annual Re-registration. So everybody here in this call should have completed, your club should have completed SOAR. If you are here in your club and you're logging into TrueBlue Connects and you can't access your profile, that means you're blocked. That's either because you didn't complete SOAR and you got this thing some way, shape, or form that I don't know how, and I'm wondering how, but that's okay. So if you're when you completed SOAR, or somebody in your club completed the form, they completed the form, and in the form there was a question that stated the individuals that wanted to be, that you either assign as your Microsoft Teams member or responsible person. Those are the people that we added. Most of you added yourself as presidents and the secretary or somebody else. We added those 2 people that were listed plus your advisor. If for some reason you want somebody else to be added to teams to represent your club, please try to keep it at 2. We already have 2 members within your club. But if you want to swap, just email us at studentorgs@nau.edu. I did share with you all how to add members, but I'm checking them first and see who is already in your specific club already in there. So we try our best to just keep it up to 2. So if you want to add more people and swap or remove somebody, just email studentorgs@nau.edu and we'll do that on our end.
Awesome. Okay. Okay. The next question was a reminder about rosters. So what do I do if I need access, or I need to give somebody access to TrueBlue Connects things? So I'm right back here where I was when I looked up my advisor. And again, that panel on the side is where I access everything. So that little cogwheel, I'm going to click there and I'm going to click on roster. The roster is life. It is everything in terms of who has access to what and how you're getting communicated with by our office. If the roster is not updated, you're probably missing out on stuff. So it is so critical that you have this updated. So again, just a reminder, in order to add people to your roster, you just click invite people and then you get them added. In order to change people's access to various elements of TrueBlue Connects, you do manage positions. And then again, here's our roster for ASNAU. So I can see that I can see who all has what is listed as what position. I can make sure that they're all active members. If somebody's not an active member, or they never show up for anything, they're not really part of the organization, or they graduated, I need to boot them off the roster. They're done. So that's where I can click over here and end their membership, so I can make sure this is up to date all the time. If this isn't updated, then they're not going to be on Teams. They're not going to have access to submit events. It is all about the roster. So I feel like you should set like calendar reminders each day, like check the roster or something, because that is everything in order to get access to what you need. Okay, another question was how to start a new club. Salvador, want to do that one? So we have just under 400 clubs on campus, but I think we approved 45 new clubs just last year. So our clubs, we are always approving new ones. I know all of you are already officers of clubs, but you can always start another one, or somebody who wants to start something. So Salvador will show you where to go for that.
Yes, I can. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. If you're logged into NAU.edu, club, sorry, I couldn't think of the page. You're more than welcome to go into this 3-dotted line icon, click on that and click on organizations. When you go in here, this is also where students are going to be able to actually look up any club that they want to join or be part of or find more information about. But if you want to create your own club, then you will click here and click on register an organization. Do keep in mind that we cannot have repetitive clubs. So if you're trying to create a club that, let's say, for example, is similar to the African Student Association, we unfortunately cannot have duplicates. So that means that we will decline your request and we encourage you to actually get connected with the already active club themselves. If that's a club that you already did your research and there is really no club that really relates to yours and you're still want to create it, then perfect. And that's when you're going to click on register an organization. You will answer a handful of questions, and just remember that the main requirements is that you have to have an advisor, no exception. You have to have at least 5 members to join your club. And out of those 5 members, 2 have to be officers that have a 2.25 cumulative GPA. So that's basically just the main part requirements, in addition to your specific constitution and all that great stuff. And everything is listed in this specific form once you click on it.
Perfect. We also have a website that goes through all the steps. So to get to our webpage, it's just nau.edu/NAU clubs. And there's a whole section on start your own club as well. Awesome. Okay, we've just got a couple more. What should I bring to Club Fair? What shouldn't I bring to Club Fair? Salvador, want to take that?
Yes, I can. And technically, I'm just going to refer you back to their teams, because in teams, I listed in the general channel, I listed the final list for Club Fair. And in there, it tells you exactly what you're going to be provided with, what you should bring, what should you consider, what you should not bring, all that great stuff. And it was posted on the 3rd of August. So please go into the general teams channel, and that's a very, very long, lengthy list. So please make sure you read that. At this moment, we're not taking any more reservations for the club fairs on the 25th and the 27th. They are completely closed now. However, as we get closer to September, there will be most likely a chance for you to at least participate in the club fair on September 12th. If you're not active, if you're not an active club, organization, or chapter, aka didn't complete SOAR, or you're not in the list, and you show up, you will not have a table. So just keep that in mind. And you cannot bring your own table either.
Perfect. And then part two of that question was, what does NAU provide? What does ASNAU provide? Like Salvador said, yes, there will be a table. But otherwise, it's up to you to provide items. ASNAU will not be open. Their offices are not open until the first week of school. So there won't be access to club headquarters. So you'll want to just plan accordingly for those club fairs. They'll be open by the time that third club fair, the September one, comes around, but our offices are not open until after school starts. So, okay. How to promote your club. So we have Salvador went over in the student org manual, there's a whole marketing and publicity section. So I encourage you to check that out. So you can work on promoting your organization and getting your name out there. So there's a whole section on that, including how to do flyers, how to get up on, how to do banners, etc. Last few ones were, we just wanted to reiterate the use of the Lumberjack Lounge as a space for you. So not only is it a lounge space, this is, but it's also a space for you to host events as if you'd like to. And we just think it's a really cool space. When I was in school, it was Starbucks because the point didn't exist, and nor did that little section of Starbucks. But now it's here, but it's now no longer Starbucks. But it's that area between the hotspot and the point. So it's that room that's in there. We're making it very loungy and fun for you all to come and hang out and do homework in. But also our staff, or at least a member of our staff, is going to be there between 8 and 5 each day. So you can come ask questions, and you can come and talk with us about your club or seek out resources for your club if you need as well. Finally, just some things to look forward to this semester. So like we mentioned, Welcome Week is coming up. Our office co-chairs the Welcome Week committee. So there's a lot of great events happening. I will post the link in the chat. And all of these Welcome Week's not just for freshmen, y'all, it's for you. You pay fees that get you access to these free events. So there's lots of great stuff happening during Welcome Week, including a festival, all the club fairs, Meet the Greeks, lots and lots of events happening with lots of free things, free food, and ways to get connected, also ways to promote your club. In October, at the end of October, will be homecoming. The theme for homecoming this year is channel the flannel. So whip out your flannels, and because there's lots of great things happening during homecoming, including, of course, and homecoming really is lifted up by our student orgs. So shout out to Campus Living Student Association, who planned the annual bonfire, ASNAU, who plans the big carnival, and then Blue Key, who plans the parade. So all three of those events, and then there's other events too. They will be coming up at the end of October. We also, you'll be reached out to regarding involvement in the parade and the carnival. So last year we had clubs table for a little while at the carnival and do a carnival game if you're interested. Again, another great way to promote your organization. And then all clubs have access to have basically like a parade float, if you will. So to participate in the annual homecoming parade. I think we had just under 60 clubs participate last year, which is phenomenal. Let's make it even higher this year. So if you're interested, I know many of y'all have participated and it's super fun. And you all have access to that. So that's at the end of October. Those are kind of the main things, the main big things that are happening in terms of like all university events. I saw this in the chat. This year, we are not doing a student organization service day. If you didn't know, so our office is going to be a little bit short-staffed because I'm having a baby. And so I'm actually going on maternity leave starting like in a week. And so we reduced a few things and shaved some things off of our to-do list. And then also Marissa will be out for a little chunk of time too in the fall. So we're excited to bring back service day once we are back in the office, and because I know you all have had a lot of fun with that. So hopefully in the spring we will bring back service day. Okay, last two things. One of those being the link for attendance. So we have, Salvador mentioned this yesterday, we have a Instagram account, and it's NAU Get Involved. And if you add us right now, I'm going to pick two people So this is 2 people to win a prize and some swag from our office. So at NAU, get involved. If you add us right now, I'm gonna pick 2 random people to come by our office and get some get involved swag, separate from the t-shirts. Oh wow, I already see y'all. Oh my gosh. Okay. So at NAU, get involved. I'm gonna pick 2 random people. I'm gonna pick, let's see, Carly Marie Ray is your username, Carly Marie Ray. And let's do Amber Greenawalt. Amber Greenawalt. So the 2 of you come on by our office anytime, 8 to 5, and I'll put up some swag for you in the front so you can get some get involved swag. So that is another tool we use to promote you all and promote involvement is through that Instagram account. And lots of good stuff happening there. Okay. The final thing, unless Marissa or Salvador have anything to add, I'm going to post the link for attendance in the chat. Okay, I will go ahead and put the link in the chat in just a second. You'll fill that out. That counts as your attendance today. If you did not come on Monday or you did not have 2 officers come Monday and today, you will be responsible for reviewing the recordings of Monday and Tuesday and completing a quiz. We already are caught up on attendance from Monday. I'll work on today's and to determine who all was here and completed everything. We know that this was a heavy ask for this time. We appreciate y'all's engagement, your amazing questions. We're, like we said, we're here for you to support you and make sure you feel good about running your club. But we also, that part of that is being engaged with the training. So if you didn't complete all the training and have 2 officers here, you'll be expected to complete that the quiz that we're going to post on Teams. So that is separate from what I'm posting right now. The quiz is separate, meaning if you did not attend both Monday and Wednesday, you have to do the quiz. What I'm posting right now is just saying you were here pretty much. So I'm going to post that right now. And once you have done that, you are welcome to log off. We really appreciate y'all's time and energy, and we cannot wait for another great year of student orgs doing great things on campus. We'll hang out here for a while to answer any questions and any follow-up things that you might have for the good of the order. But we appreciate y'all. And again, come get those t-shirts and swag in our office. And again, for those 2 who just won the Instagram giveaway, you can come by anytime, even if you're not on campus right now. So we'll just put it up front in our office area. Okay, Matthew, how can we help you?
Yeah, can you go over how to get involved with the Microsoft Teams?
Salvador, want to take that one?
Yes, Matthew, what is your club's name?
NAU ProCell.
Awesome. Again, so thank you all for being here as Salvador gets them added. Once you fill out that link, you are good to go. And we'll keep monitoring the chat and hanging out. Oh, go ahead, Salvador, sorry.
No, you're good. Matthew, you're talking about Professional Sales Club.
Yes.
Okay, just email me a studentorgs@nau.edu and give me your username, and then I'll add you to the teams. And then can you also verify who else in your club is added? I could actually double check, but if you're swapping with someone or if you just need to be added too.
Okay, and what was that email again?
Student, I'll type it in the chat so that way it's easier for you.
Okay, thanks.
Oopsies. There it is. studentorgs@nau.edu.
Thank you.
So if we were here Monday and Wednesday, do we still have to go to Teams and do the quiz?
Nope, as long as you had 2 officers at both Monday and Wednesday, you'll be counted for your club. And as long as you filled out the link that we put in the chat each time, you'll be good to go.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Recordings will be posted later probably in about another hour or so on Teams. And no, it's not the same questions, Paris. Great question. New questions.
Okay, sorry, Michelle. I just like clicked on that link again and it looked like the same one that was posted on Monday.
The first couple questions are the same, but then it should change.
Okay.
I hope. Okay, Jonathan.
Hi, I'm the president of the fencing club, and while we have our coach who's available whenever we need him, and he's helping to train us with fencing, our advisor is less than non-existent. I think he's a concept at this point. We've never been able to get in contact with him, and we're not sure what to do.
Do you know who? Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Michelle.
Do you know who they are?
Yes, Dan.Waisley, I'm putting in the chat at NAU.
Yeah, so I would recommend reaching out a final time and then maybe CCing us, CCing the student orgs account, and we can follow up as well. And maybe you know, if it comes to a point where you need to change advisors, that's totally fine to do if you want somebody more connected. Some clubs don't need an advisor super connected, but some do, and for all the reasons that we went over earlier. So if needed, we can help support finding a new advisor if that person's not providing the support that you're looking for.
All right, thank you.
Great question. Jackson.
Hello, I have a specific question about room reservations. So I wanted to know when looking around for room reservations, where can we go to see what rooms are available and what are not?
Oh, good question. Do you want to take that one, Salvador?
You could go ahead.
You technically can't see it right now. We're working on that. Right now, you can't see what's available, but you can put in what you want, and then the unions team will work with you to find what you want. Depending on the building you want, if it's like an academic college, you're always welcome to call that college to see if something's available before you enter it into True Blue. But otherwise, you technically don't have access right now to see what's available. So it is kind of a semi shot in the dark, but the unions team will, in the form, you put like your top 3 locations, and then the unions team will work with you to help you get the location you're wanting for.
All right. And would we be able to pick those rooms even if they're in an academic college or like in the library through True Blue Connects?
Yep.
I thought True Blue Connects was only through the union.
Nope, it's all space.
All right.
Great question.
Space is filling up pretty quickly, Jackson. So just try your best to submit those requests as soon as possible. Because space is limited, just an FYI.
Richard?
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Sorry, my dogs. Hold on. So I'm part of 2 clubs. Would I be able to represent both clubs for this meeting since I am here at the same time?
Yep, you'll just write both in on the Qualtrics survey.
Okay, thank you.
Tracy?
Hi,
Cool.
thank you. Actually, so that was actually a really good question that Richard brought up. I actually am here to represent 2 clubs, but I totally forgotten to put in the second one. Can I just redo the Qualtrics survey?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. And then my second question is sorry, there's construction going on. For Lumberjacks Thrive, for the alumni portion, do we need to tell you that the alumni are coming in advance, or could we tell you like day of or after the meeting has happened?
You'll want to apply for that prior, because the Thrive grant funds the event. You'll want to submit that to where they can get you connected with that alumni and support whatever you're wanting to make happen for that event. So I would do that, the earlier the better.
Interesting. So let's say I'm a part of the professional selling club, so we know we have a company coming in and they're going to have alumni there. Would that mean that I would go through the Lumberjacks Thrive to do all that then?
If you want to, yeah, if you're looking for funding for that event, then that's a great option. If you're like, no, we don't even need funding, then you don't have to do that.
Got it. Okay. All right. Thank
Yeah.
you.
No,
Rachel.
Tyler. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Go for it, Salvador.
A
Oh,
few
no, I was-
people need the Monday link. Is it possible to get that in the chat?
Unfortunately, no, we already did attendance for Monday. And so the way to capture if you were here on Mondays, you'll have to complete the quiz that we post because we've already completed attendance from Monday and closed it. And we don't want to reopen it and people potentially claim that they were here, but that weren't here. And so you'll just have to complete the quiz that we post.
Okay, and we're still waiting for that to be posted.
Yes, because we need to finish the recording here.
Gotcha.
And
Thank you.
Sorry, Salvador, what did you have?
There was just a question about the storage, but they already answered it. Thank you, Meredith.
Awesome. Okay, I think we're caught up on the chat.
Hi, I have a question.
Yeah, Rebecca.
So I completed the survey yesterday for Monday. I completed it yesterday. Is that okay?
I would have done attendance yesterday morning. So if you did it by then
Hopefully, I can't remember, but I did it. Yeah, I completely forgot on Monday. So I turned it in yesterday, but I can't remember the time, but okay.
you'll be notified if your club didn't have representation or have two representatives, you'll be notified for sure. But we'll post the quiz and the recording for everybody. But those who didn't meet the having two or have it completed will be notified for sure.
Where is that quiz going to be posted, Michelle?
Everything will be posted on Teams. Teams is going to be your new favorite word because it's everywhere. It's everything. Go for it, Jackson.
Hi, it's me again. I remember this at the very last moment. It's been a question I've had for a while, but this has been very informative for all meetings. And I want to know where we could go to try and find these presentations and if we need some info or another, are these presentations going to be posted in Teams or what should we do if we're just not sure on a certain detail?
Oh, great question. So are you thinking the actual PowerPoint, not the recording?
PowerPoint, recording, it's really whatever's easiest. I think that maybe posting the PowerPoint could be helpful so people don't have to sit through a whole recording, but that's just my suggestion.
Yeah, the recording will definitely be posted. And then Salvador, are you good with posting the PowerPoints too for club resources?
Yes, and they should all the PowerPoints recorded should be in channel number 4 called training. So you should be able to go in there and access them all by the end of the week.
I have a quick question. Is there a particular reason for switching to Teams?
Great question. Salvador?
Yeah. In terms of, we've been noticing that there's been a lot of miscommunication happening recently when it comes to meeting expectations. So a lot of clubs, as an example for this moment, have been getting not completed SOAR, right? Or have not been able to follow up on events and so on and so forth. And that's not just getting our department behind, it's getting your club behind in terms of getting your events approved, trying to meet expectations that not only us implement, but also NEU. So we decided to implement Teams to move forward, so that way it could be a one-way communication, not one-way, a both-way communication method to avoid having these little mess-ups happen or reoccurring moving forward. That's the reason why primarily we want to make sure that you are representing NAU in a proper way, and we want to make sure that you're staying consistent with getting the information that you need. Because we also noticed too that in addition to not learning about certain things or not checking their individual emails, their individuals are not attending our mandatory monthly meetings, which obviously they will get frozen if they don't attend. But then it will also serve as a secondary method too, to make sure communication again is reaching to you.
I understand, and it totally makes sense. But at the same time, I feel like it will be a lot more effective to email like certain events that we actually need to like attend for sure, because it took me for a while to understand that I had a new email through NAU, because I'm both teaching as a GA and also like I'm a student, so there's already a lot of email communication happening, and now we are like trying to use another email for my faculty account, and I have another email for my student account, and then now there's this Microsoft, and like it's kind of tricky to keep up with all of those like different accounts that are happening. And now we are also trying to switch to Canvas, which is like kind of an overwhelming situation.
No, and I agree. There's a lot of things, especially because you have also a very unique example, Lara, because you are a GA. So as a GA, you do have additional emails and just so much software that you have to manage. This will be a transition, and it will definitely be a little bit bumpy, I'm not gonna lie, in terms of getting everybody used to Teams. We're definitely gonna provide flexibility, but moving forward, this needs to be our method of communication moving forward. You could also contact ITS and ensure that you connect the right email to your specific accounts, whether you have your first name dot last name email, or whether you have your username, to make sure that at least one email is being utilized more than the other, so that way you can stay consistent with using just one. And that will be an ITS ticket that you can submit.
It makes sense. Okay, thank you.
It's also Teams is utilized by a lot of businesses, a lot of companies. So you're also getting a leg up on a lot of other people who maybe haven't used Teams, other of your peers, because you're already getting exposure to utilizing Teams. It's really becoming a tool that a lot of organizations are using to stay organized, to house resources, shared resources. So we're excited, or so you can add this to your resume that you're gaining great experience utilizing and operating within Microsoft Teams. The university is also shifting to Teams usage for departments and that kind of thing. So just generally, a lot of departments are utilizing and shifting to Teams usage. Again, so we can house everything, because last year I would email you all everything, but I had no like space to put something so you can access it at any time. It was always emailed, which is great, but it doesn't help when you just want to access something and have like a go-to hub, if you will, for all resources and items that you need. Great question though, Delara.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we go ahead and end the call? Okay, well, we will go ahead and end it, and I'm going to go ahead and update our website with that storage link, the club storage link, if you're interested. Again, you can always